Welcome to the second part of building the GPA app using C# programming. In the last video, I showed you the first version, which was very long and used a lot of write lines. And in the second version, I showed you the code that had methods in it, and I would just invoke the methods each and every time I would want to use that method. And this video will be going through the plans of the third version. Now let's take a look at the plan again and see what we're supposed to be working towards for now. So the objectives are, we're creating an app to calculate my average from different assessments. Let's say you have a module, and for example mathematics, and you have quizzes and you have tests and maybe exams or anything in between, and those things are calculated using different percentages. For example, quizzes may be like 15%, tests may be like 20% each for the year mark. At the end of the year or at the end of the semester, you may want to know what your year mark is, and you'll be able to know your DP and all that stuff. That's the main objective of the app. The app should also take in weekly minutes. What do I mean by that? I discussed in my last video that I want to record minutes for each and every module that I do work for. So for example, if I attend a class and it's 70 minutes, say mathematics again, I want to record those minutes so that I know that when I spend this much time on this module, I produce this much result. Having to record the minutes will also help me to benchmark my results according to the times that I spend each and every week. And the code for the app should be efficient by using object-oriented programming. This means using objects and classes and methods. And along the way, we'll be able to learn some other concepts, new concepts of object-oriented programming, because it's a large paradigm. So along the way, just know that we'll be learning new stuff that I don't know yet. So just be ready to learn like new stuff, new OP concepts, right? So don't worry about it. I also don't know most of it. For now, the plan is to use text files to read and write data into the program. Now, GPA means different things in different countries. Right, so I did my research. That was after the first video, of course. After doing my research, I saw that many countries do GPA differently, right? So, and I now resorted to changing the idea from the GPA that I had, which was mistakenly flawed, into just calling it an aggregate app or an average app. But I'm not going to change the name for now, right? So I'm going to stick with the name GPA app, but just know that behind the scenes, we're working with an average, we're working with an aggregate, right? So now let's get to the code bits, and enough with the yapping.
And I think it's time for you to put a squeeze on your chat box. What?
Right, so this is first and second version meshed up together. Actually, this is more second version than first. These were the methods that we had. I want us to introduce objects and classes, right? So in other words, we're going to create a class, and we are going to make sure that the code that we have here is only written once. We don't want to see this stuff each and every week. We don't want to see this stuff each and every week. And yeah, we don't want to see this stuff each and every week. Let's create a class. So we're going to come to project and say add class. So I want us to name this .cs file into minutes and average. Actually, let's not use minutes and average. Let's say minutes and marks, right? Because the way I see it, I think minutes will be easier for us to implement. I'm not sure about marks, but minutes will actually be easier. So I want to start with minutes. We start with the easy parts, and then marks we'll see as we go on, because there are a lot of nuances that we need to take into account, because each and every module has different calculations. That's why I want to start with minutes, because minutes are universal. So you just enter the minutes and you're done. You enter the minutes, you're done, stuff like that. So with marks, I think it's going to be in the next video, because there is some nuances to that. So now let's add this file. As you add this file, you'll see that it has minutes and marks here. Okay, I think this might be some redundancy, but here's the idea. We need two classes. Let me just remove this internal stuff. We need two classes. We don't want minutes and marks in the same thing, so we want to separate them. So we'll have two classes here. So let me just say class marks. We're going to change the one that is up there into minutes. We are going to have that. So it's prompting us to create a constructor, but let's not fall into it. Now, let's change the name of this class into just minutes. I don't know. I'm sure it will change the file name, but it doesn't matter. Don't worry, this is just a rough thing. So let's get to our solution explorer and then change the name of this. Of course, it's going to change even the file name. So let's call this minutes. This is redundant, I know. And I don't know why it didn't change the name, but let's erase this. So we have two classes. We have class minutes and we have class marks. So for the class minutes, let us declare the fields for each and every module, because remember, we are trying to receive minutes for each and every module each and every week. Let me just write this real fast. You guys don't need to see me writing all this. Right, so we declared our fields. Declaring them public in this case wouldn't be too necessary, because we will use a constructor to assign the values like each and every week. So now let's create a constructor that is going to populate the minutes for these modules. Again, I'm going to speed that up so that you don't have to see me type. Right, so we have this constructor, public minutes. So we're going to be receiving minutes for business, for all these modules actually. So now we have worked out how we are going to work with our input. So our input is going to come through a constructor, and it's going to be placed in these fields. So now we need an output strategy. That means we're going to create a display method. So we're going to say public void, let's say display minutes. Remember, you see in this program of ours, we used to have week 6, week 7. So I want us to receive the number, the week number. So here, let's say we're going to receive int week number. So week num. Now we are going to take this part, you see this part, and come and place it in our display method, because we want it to be displayed once. So let me just copy that, and we are going to put this here. A lot of right line screaming. Let's just change that. So let me say using static. Right, so our display is going to be like this. But remember, here in week, we are not going to have the 6 that we have. So we're going to put a variable there, a variable field. So we're going to say week and then week num here. So that makes sense. Now I'm going to be declaring a lot of variables at the top. So I'm going to do that fast so that we don't have to waste too much time. Now, I hope this makes sense. I've declared a team min, right? So, and then I've made sure that the variables or the fields that we had at the top, because remember they're global, and they are placed in these fields like as variables here. So we have the variable for maths, for computer fundamentals, and for that. So, and then I added this line for weekly hours for semester 2, because I think I had it this side, or I actually deleted it this side. That's weekly hours. It should be weekly minutes, but it doesn't matter. So weekly hours for semester 2, because we're in semester 2 now. So weekly hours for semester 2 and week num, and we have these fields, total academic minutes for the week again. So that's team min, like total minutes, and that's it. We now have a display strategy. What we need now is to create an instance of the minutes class, right? So we need to create an instance for the minutes class. So because this is now accommodated on the class file, so where I am going to delete all this code. So all of this is going in the trash.
If you have trash in your life, take it out.
Now we're left with the static void yearly GPA. I want to leave it here because we haven't done the minutes part, and I think we'll use the code for yearly GPA. I think we will need this section. I don't want to rewrite it again. We have static void yearly GPA, and we will remove the week part. Let's remove this again in the main and leave the read line. Now let's create an instance of the minutes class. So we're going to say minutes, and let's say week 1, right? So week 01, and we're going to say new minutes. As you can see, our object or our instantiation actually tells us that we need to put a double business, double economics, double maths. We just need to put minutes for those 6 modules. So in this case, I'm just going to hard code any minutes that come to mind. Let's say, for example, we know they're double, so we have 60 for business, right? So in week 1, we have these minutes. So now let's see if this works, right? So in other words, we now have the values. Now let's test the strategy, the output strategy, if it works. So we're going to say display minutes and like that. So we're going to give it a week number, remember? So this is for week 1. Now let's try running this code. Right, so weekly hours for semester 2, week 1. You see, mathematics, we did 230 out of 300. But as we can see, the code works for the minutes. The code works perfectly fine for the minutes. So in other words, if we were to create, let's say for week 2, we would just say, we will just instantiate another object here and say week 2 like that, and say new minutes, just like that, right? So I don't want to write the whole stuff because we will be using arrays of objects in the coming of weeks. But as you can see, our main method now is now shorter and it now looks more readable because we now see that we're saying display minutes for week 1 and we're creating an object and then just giving it numbers instead of just having blocks of write lines each and every time we wanted to create a week's minutes. So with that said, I think we've come to the end of our second episode. I don't want to make long videos. So far, here's what we did. We created 2 classes and we call one of them is marks and one of them is minutes. In the next video, we'll be trying to work with marks and see how we can tackle it. If we need to change plans here and there, we'll be able to change plans. In the following weeks, I'll be making this code available in GitHub so that you'll be able to see it for yourself and then maybe refactor it for yourself. And again, if you have any suggestions on how I can make this code more efficient, please, you can comment in the comment section below. We're all building this together. This is all more like a group project. It's me and you guys. Yeah, that's it for today. If you'd like to see more tech related content from me, if you'd like to see more STEM related content, because I make a lot of videos, I also make mathematics videos and other subjects as well. So if you'd like to see more of that stuff, just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and you can also opt in to get notifications when I upload a video by clicking the notification bell. Let's keep education fashionable. I will see you in the next video.